boys? What's good? It's Herm, and we're here today with Moneyball 2.0. The newer, the better, the more improved version. Let's not get carried away. But the Oakland A's start to the 2024 season is something that needs to be talked about. And you know me, I'm a numbers guy. I'm a graduate with a data science degree. We want to talk about numbers. And I want to talk about it because what the A's are doing this season might be even crazier than what we saw in 2002. But let's just get right into it. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into Moneyball 2.0. And that would be, we know what the movie is. We know the movie. Moneyball came out in 2011, a film. It was starring Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill about the 2002 Oakland A's. They lost three key players, including Jason Giambi and Johnny Damon, heading into the 2002 season, and they had the lowest payroll in the MLB. But despite that, the A's won an outstanding 103 games in 2002, surpassing the previous season's record, which many people would have said was impossible, and winning the American League West. They're also well known for winning 20 straight games in that season from August 13th to September 4th, which was a great story, super fun to watch. A lot of the games were close, and it was a great season all around, and the players were performing. Shortstop Miguel Tejeda won the MVP, and pitcher Barry Zito won Cy Young. I don't know if that's happened a bunch of times, but at least as much as I can remember, I don't remember any teams having the MVP and Cy Young in the same season. It's a level of dominance that you just don't see very often. GM Billy Beane replaced stars Jason Giambi and Johnny Damon with underappreciated players Scott Hatteberg and David Justice. It was David Justice's last season in the league, didn't play after 2002, and it was easily the best season of Hatteberg's career. But now, let's get into it. 22 years later, we see the fan here sell the team, save Oakland. That's not going to happen. The Oakland A's are still 30th in the MLB today in team salary, just like they were 22 years ago. And the ownership has not gotten any more generous or realistic. It's likely gotten even worse. But somehow the situation, like I was saying, is even more dire now than it was then. They are on the heels of 2 straight 100-loss seasons, and the team is leaving Oakland. It will relocate briefly to Sacramento, where they will just be called the A's, before moving to Las Vegas. Despite Billy Beane's attempt to get the A's to re-engage with Oakland and potentially get a new deal to stay there, John Fisher, who might be the most hated owner in the league, has decided to move the team. This is their last season in Oakland, and now they have one last chance, a last dance if you will, to leave a lasting positive memory with the fans in Oakland, which we haven't had as of late. It's been so much losing. Fans don't even come to the games anymore. I believe it's the lowest attendance in the league. And relive some of the 2002 glory, and let's just bring something positive back to Oakland. But the money now is actually much worse than it was in 2002. We saw the great, unbelievable disadvantage that they were put at in that 2002 season. I believe the book is actually called The Art of an Unfair Game, and it has just gotten aggressively more unfair now than it was then. Their payroll in 2002 was $40 million, and 22 years later, I cannot stress this enough, 22 years later, their payroll is $43 million. Went up by $3 million when the average payroll more than doubled, and the highest payroll more than doubled as well. The average payroll in 2002 was $67 million, which the A's were at about 60% of the average. Now in 2024, they are only at 31.5% of the average, which is disgustingly low. And the average is now $136.3 million. The highest payroll in 2002 was the Yankees at 126.3, which they were at 31.6% of. And the highest payroll this year is the Mets at at 286.9, which they are below 15% of the highest payroll. Yes, the Mets are aggressively spending and they're super high, but the A's are also absurdly low, and it's even more unfair. They're put at even more of a disadvantage than they were in that 2002 season. But despite that, despite all the limitations and disadvantages the team has, they've been good. Realistically, like honestly, they've been really good, especially over the past couple weeks. Their record as of May 7th, when I'm filming this video, stands at 17-19. And you might say to yourself, Herm, that's below 500. It's not a fantastic record. Let me get into it. They have won 8 of their last 11, 7 of the last 10. They've been really good. I've really liked how they've looked. They have won 3 straight series, including a series win over the Orioles, which is super impressive, and a sweep of the Pirates, which I believe was in Pittsburgh as well. They have the MLB's 4th best record since April 25th, trailing just the Phillies, Twins, and Dodgers, who are all good teams, and they are 4th over that stretch, which is fantastic. And they also have the best closer in baseball in Mason Miller, who's one of the best stories of the early 2024 season. Let's get into the guys that are performing for them right now, the hitters. Starting off with designated hitter Brent Rooker, who has a 256, 348, 615 slash line, which gives you a 963 OPS. Anything above 800 is real good, and 963 is elite. He's been really good so far this season. A 175 WRC plus, the average is 100, so 175 again, really impressive. 8 home runs, just over a month into the season, in a .8 WAR, wins above replacement. He's on pace for a very good season. Then we move into second baseman Abraham Toro, who's been really impressive over this stretch. Has been kind of filling in for Zach Geloff, who's been out with an injury, but Toro has stepped up in his place. 267, 325, 429 slash line, 754 OPS, above the average, 121 WRC plus, and a .6 WAR. But again, these numbers are for the full season, don't quite tell the story of how good he's been over the past couple weeks. He's been an emotional leader, and it feels like he's been carrying this A's offense, even though Brent Rooker has been fantastic. JJ Bleday, former first round pick, center fielder, 246, 323, 439 slash line, 762 OPS, also above average, 119 WRC plus, and a .6 WAR as well. WAR is a cumulative stat, so he could end the season with somewhere around a 3 WAR, which would be a really good one. Scott Hatteberg in 2002, the best season of his career, had a 3.2 WAR, and the A's have multiple guys right now that are on pace for something similar. Kyle McCann, who has only played 10 games, again, this is a small sample, and Shea Langmuir is the starting catcher, but McCann has been really good in fill-in duty. 375, 464, 625 slash line, feels unsustainable, especially a 1089 OPS, but when he's been on the field, he's been great. 216 WRC plus, which puts him near the top of the league, in a .5 WAR. Again, though, only 10 games, so we'll see if he could keep that up if he gets some more at bats, but has been really impressive. Tyler Nevin as well, along with Toro, has been kind of the push of this recent stretch. 289, 363, 444 slash, 807 OPS, good number, 138 WRC plus, and a .3 WAR. Good season so far for Nevin as well. The second and third baseman really lighting it up. But only McCann was actually drafted by Oakland. A lot of these guys acquired through trades. So interesting that it is done that way. It feels like because Oakland ends up trading all their good players because they don't want to pay them. And because of that, a lot of them aren't really homegrown, but they are performing at a high level. Then we can get into the pitchers, starting with closer Mason Miller, who has been the best closer in the league. I don't even think it's close. A 1.26 ERA, a 53.7 strikeout percentage, which is absurd, a negative .5 FIP. He's so good, he's broken the stat. Fielding independent pitching, it's basically ERA adjusted to fielding. And, because of some errors here, stuff like that, he is actually negative, which I didn't even know was possible. I saw it explained on Twitter the other day. It is possible, but it's just super impressive, and you never see it ever. 8 saves from Mason Miller already, a 1.1 wins above replacement. He's on pace for like a 5 WAR, It's going to be a historic closing pitcher season if he keeps it up. His average velocity as of May 2nd, because I was looking through an article, it's a few days old, but average velocity of 100.7, sitting above 100 on the average is insane. 97 pitches above 100 miles an hour, which was over 40 pitches more than the second place pitcher, and then 19 pitches at 102 miles an hour or higher. The rest of the MLB combined has 8 so far, and he has 19. He has just been otherworldly dominant. Lucas Erceg as a relief pitcher, as he's kind of the setup man for Miller, has also been really good. He comes in, he doesn't get the credit that Miller does because of how dominant he's been, but Erceg is also really impressive. A 1.93 ERA, a 35% strikeout percentage, a 2.01 FIP, suggesting that maybe the fielding is helping him a little bit. 2 saves as well, and a .4 wins above replacement. One of the best setup men in the league. The 8th and 9th innings, if the A's are up, they're probably going to win, which is awesome. Something that you haven't been able to say with them in the past, and it's not something that many teams get blessed to have. Paul Blackburn, a all-star last season for the A's. He might be an all-star again, but if I had to pick an all-star from the A's right now, it'd be Miller. But maybe they get more than one this year because of how good a lot of guys are performing. A 3 ERA, a 3.94 FIP, a 3-1 record. The team is good when he's out there, and a .4 wins above replacement. Ross Stripling as well has been pretty good. A 4.24 ERA and a 1-5 record. Doesn't seem great, but a 3.38 FIP, a little better than Paul Blackburn. Adjusted to the fielding, and a .7 wins above replacement. Outside of Mason Miller, F-WAR places him as the second best pitcher so far this season for the A's, but they've just been so good. Miller and Blackburn are both homegrown talents, so their best players being homegrown, at least on the pitching side, is good to see. But again, none of these guys are making really good money. The salary as a whole is 43. I think the Ohtani contract, if it wasn't all deferred, would be like 70 million this year, and the A's as a team are only paying 43. So it's crazy how good they've been able to be. And we'll get to this because I want to close with this. A lot of people are probably asking, if they're not super familiar, is Billy Beane still in charge of the A's? Is he continuing the Moneyball legacy? And not exactly. While Beane is still a member of the front office, he is still on the payroll. He is definitely has some say within the team. His official title is just senior advisor. Think Jerry West with the Clippers when he was their senior advisor. Similar situation. No longer executive vice president or GM, a couple positions he held with them. But the team is now led by President David Cavall and GM David Forst. And the one I'm going to focus on is Forst because he was a scouting executive during the Moneyball season in 2002, is a Harvard alum, just like renowned numbers guy Paul DePodesta, who was played by Jonah Hill in the Moneyball movie, and gets a lot of credit for what they were able to do, and rightfully so. But Forst is also a big piece of what they're doing now in continuing kind of what DePodesta started in finding guys around the edges, doing a great job of financial management and deep scouting stuff to really help them achieve better than what they should be able to. But David Cavall, I wanted to talk about this because he was doing an interview with the Wall Street Journal recently that he expects the move to Vegas to open up a lot more revenue for the team and for them to kind of shift their focus to be big free agent players and not be the Moneyball team anymore. So this really is the last dance for Moneyball for this approach for the A's, and it looks as good as it has in quite some time. 17-19 so far in this season, but again, 8 out of their last 11. Brent Rooker, Toro, and Nevin are raking right now. I've liked some games from Lawrence Butler as well, as he's not there every day, but he has moments where he looks really good. Shea Langeliers as well isn't hitting all that well, but is still a really good defensive catcher, and because of that, the F4 is still pretty solid actually right now for him. McCann is an interesting player to see what goes on for the rest of the season. Hopefully they pull up Esteury Ruiz and he gets some more play time as well. But the A's look good, and they're doing it at even more of a disadvantage than they had before, sitting aggressively behind all the other teams. Again, let's just look at the money again, because it's so much worse. It's hard to even talk and put into words how bad it is. 40-67 in 2002 and 43-136 this season. They're at such an aggressive disadvantage. You shouldn't even be able to put together a decent team, but they have done that, and it's been really impressive. Props to David Forst and David Cavall, but I think Forst is really the more leading guy here. And I think he's done a fantastic job. I think the manager's done a great job, and I think the players are performing about as well as you could ask them to. But it's been great to see. I'm really excited for them to keep it up. Hopefully they do make the playoffs in their last season in Oakland. Kind of a big FU to the owner, which would be awesome. I'd love to see it, but hey, go Rangers. Tough loss for the A's today, but the Rangers pick up the win. And thanks for watching. That's going to be it for me. If you like just some different analytical stuff, some breakdowns, some numbers, think about subscribing and sticking around for more. I hope you enjoy, but that's going to be it for me today. So have a good one, guys. See ya.